she hella bad. I might hit it one shotty, I won't hit it back. Do the dash, new Balenciaga got a bag, hit it back. Pedal to the gas, shotty, I been living fast. Ooh la la, she hella bad. I might hit it one shotty, I won't hit it back. Do the dash, new Balenciaga got a bag, hit it back. Pedal to the gas, shotty, I been living fast. What you mean, what you want, what we doing? Pull up with a coupe, no roof, just to do it. She only talk cash, cause she know I speak fluent. The devil in the dress, shorty, I can see through it. She know I'm a rock star, but I know she a diva. She only sent me black hearts, but she always on her knees. Ooh la la, she hella bad. I might hit it one shotty, I won't hit it back. Do the dash, new Balenciaga got a bag, hit it back. Pedal to the gas, shotty, I been living fast. Ooh la la, she hella bad. I might hit it one shotty, I won't hit it back. Do the dash, new Balenciaga got a bag, hit it back. Pedal to the gas, shotty, I been living fast. Yeah, she living in the hills. Shorty drive a Benz with a top off. She got a cold heart, but she know that. Bad little bitch taking pictures all the Kodak. Ooh la la, she hella bad. I might hit it one shotty, I won't hit it back. Do the dash, new Balenciaga got a bag, hit it back. Pedal to the gas, shotty, I been living fast. Ooh la la, she hella bad. I might hit it one shotty, I won't hit it back. Do the dash, new Balenciaga got a bag, hit it back. Pedal to the gas, shotty, I been living fast. Ooh, look how she moving, she do it okay. Baby out west got a crib in LA. She only want bills with the blue on the face. She hit my DM and she begged me to stay. New bag, new whip, she on it. Too bad, too lit, she want it. Baby don't stress, couple mil in the bank. She look even better when she walk away. Ooh la la, she hella bad. I might hit it one shotty, I won't hit it back. Do the dash, new Balenciaga got a bag, hit it back. Pedal to the gas, shotty, I been living fast. Ooh la la, she hella bad. I might hit it one shotty, I won't hit it back. Do the dash, new Balenciaga got a bag, hit it back. Pedal to the gas, shotty, I been living fast.
Bro, everything that's going on in the world, you seen it on Saturday when we were down there, man. The racists are getting uncomfortable, bro. They're upset that they can't be racist anymore, man, and people aren't going for that shit no more, man. They don't
get a pass.
Yeah, there's no more of it, and I just love that energy. You seen it when you were down there, like all the people just coming together, getting their frustrations out and say, you know what I mean? Nobody was looking at anybody any type of way down there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's what it's all about. Right
Well,
there.
the people in the protest, I mean, I don't know about the people. There's people definitely on the side and on the road
Yeah.
complaining. But, I mean, people in the protest, even the police officers that were a part of it, no harm, no foul. Everybody was there, was like appreciating and respecting one another. So you got to give respect where it was due. But, yeah, that was my first protest. And... Bro, after being in one, though, it really made me ask a lot of questions, right? I mean, I wasn't in it, technically. I was part of it, but I was filming it most of the time, as you guys see the video that's playing in the background if you haven't already seen it. But that was what was weird to me, was all the after effects of how whenever those videos were posted, those pictures were seen of, like, the people laying on the road in memory of George Floyd, laying there for 8 minutes. And how it was 8 minutes and 42 seconds, something like that, like exactly however long it was. And there were so many people that came out and said, look at these people throwing themselves on the road for, whatever reason. There's no reason behind it. What is this? Is this going to solve racism? Is this going to solve racism? Like, that's literally what they were saying. And then the best part, here was the best part. Someone argued, right? Someone argued that it was destruction. It was just as bad, Coach, as destruction of property. Them sitting on the road. And... I swear to you. And this guy, this one girl, shout out to Jenna Hoover, was out here talking about, what was a protest, and I'm sure everybody was peaceful in that. And he was like, well, what about PETA? Like, you should protest where these things actually happen. Why do you have to be out in the middle of the street? Shouldn't PETA come out to the woods? And it's like, no, I'm like, oh no, this guy. I'm like, this guy, he's doing it to himself. So I had to expose him. So I'm like, for one, dude, PETA is totally different. It's about animals, not people. And for two, you don't protest where there are no people, because people would make the change. PETA's not going to go to the middle of the woods where no one is to make a point, because no one's going to see it. No one's going to hear it. You got to go to the street.
And plus, going to Minneapolis, I mean, because it happens everywhere. You know what I mean? What's being protested happens not that to that extreme, but there is some problems with police departments. So that has to be restructured. It has to be revised. There has to be done. Now there's people that are saying abolish it, like what they did in Minnesota. I don't know if you've seen that video.
Right.
They had a rally, and the mayor was out there, and they were saying abolish it. Are you good? This is a yes or no question. They handed the mic, and he was like, "No, I can't abolish them." And they kicked him out of the rally. He's like walking away with his head down, and they're like, Jake, get out, Jake, get out. I'm like, oh my God, people are not putting up with no more bullshit. Now, abolishment, that's stupid. We need police, but we need to restructure it. We need to take that power away from them that they have to keep doing these things. So that's what it's all about.
Right, and we'll talk about that more too, because I watched a special on John Oliver today about what they would do with the police and what the odds are of defunding police, which is totally different than abolishing police. Now, here's where I thought this is why I was like laughing, because I was talking about this guy's comments where he said that laying on the road was just like, because it was just as bad. So I came at him and told him, I said, do you know police escorted us the whole way, directed traffic, blocked traffic for us, and allowed us to keep moving? And then his argument quickly became, it still is like, it's like, yeah, it's not right to block off traffic and disrupt people's lives. So I said, okay, so in Virginia, right? Virginia, like a couple months ago, what was it, like earlier this, like, was it last summer or like beginning of this year in the spring or whatever it was, right? Because I remember Big Sarge went down there. Remember Virginia? Alex Jones was there. They shut down multiple streets for the Second Amendment rights stand. I said, sir, are you telling me that's destruction of property when they shut down several streets for them to protest the Second Amendment right? He never answered my question. He blocked me, bro. And I'm like, that's just so sad, because that means you saw I had a point, and instead of conceding that you were wrong, you rather block me and act like I was the one who's wrong. What did he say? He's like, you won't change my mind, so there's no point in talking. Well, clearly you're afraid. You're afraid of changing your mind.
Yeah, let him. Goodbye. Good riddance. And it's another thing too. Like we do it all the time for money, like block off streets for fairs and stuff like that, which, like, come on, man. There's nothing wrong with...
That's destruction of property, Coach.
Oh, yeah.
That's
no
just
more
as
fair.
bad. No more fair.
No more downtown block parties or none of that stuff.
Right. Small businesses that want to have, like, a little market down there, like maybe like one of those like open house things out in the street, forget that. That's destruction of property. If my car can't drive through there, that's affecting my life.
And protesting, bro, and peacefully how it was done, there was no incidents that I saw. I didn't hear any incidents. It went off without a hitch. People did their thing, and then they cleaned up the mess and went home. What do you know what I mean? And that's what America's about, bro. That's what America's about right there.
Right on.
That's what I love about the situation. I was I won't mention his name, but having a conversation with somebody earlier about it when we had the conversation. And I, got him to understand that, bro, like, you need to have your kid down there so your kid can experience that and see that and understand it, so you don't have to give just your side of it. You want to give your kid some knowledge, but you want them to see it for themselves and experience that with you, and then you have that conversation. So those type of things, what I saw with the kids, little kids didn't even know what's going on, but they're holding up signs and they're like getting energized off it, but they probably don't have no clue what's going on. Those are the things that I noticed, like those things right there.
But they will. I mean, I said I saw the video. There was a young. This was a great video. I was so happy to see. It was like a kid wanted to be a part of the protest. So one of the guys walked over from the protest and grabbed the kid and brought him in, and then they walked for about probably like 20, 30 feet, and then he took him back up to his mom. And I thought that was interesting, just to be like, yeah, like let him be a part of it. The kid had his own sign and everything, and he wanted to walk in it. And he's like, yeah, I'll let you walk in it.
Get that energy. So what did you being that you're first, I mean, did you feel the energy? Did you what was the main thing that you got out of it?
Well, for starters, there's a lot of things. For one, I really it reinforced even more so my sense of community. You really do have a lot of people around you that want to make a change. That was something that was big to me. My other, I mean, there's several big takeaways, some of them negative. And as for the energy, I was shaking at times. There was times where I was shaking because of just the excitement and the power of what was going on, you know. And a lot of people want to say, well, what does a protest really do? You know, what does a protest really do for the community, or for racism, or for police brutality? What does it really do? And I said it's the same thing as, again, I always, because conservatives like the Second Amendment, I like the Second Amendment, but I always bring that up because it's usually the way to show really quick the how equitable these things are, how equatable these two things are, and say, whenever you go and protest for your Second Amendment right, what does that do? Does it actually change the laws? Does it actually do anything? No. But what it does is show solidarity. It shows that your politicians and your policymakers and the people you elect, that, oh, the people in my community that vote for me are really serious about this.
Right.
They're really serious about this stuff. So I need to make a change. And also it informs people around, like these, like you said, these racist schmucks around here, that we're out here, man. We're really for it. We're out here, and you know what I mean? We'll punch our local Nazis, so to speak, man. Like we're really about that.
That's what my energy was about. Like, one of you guys get out of hand, I'm ready to throw hands, bro, because you're not going to get in trouble with that. If anybody does anything like that, even if they got it on camera, which it'll have been on camera, the police are going to lose that.
It's gonna be like a football game.
Right.
Yeah, like you guys got a license to hit somebody today, man. You're not going to get that many chances in your life.
Right.
But again, I learned a lot. And some of the negative things, again, is that I seen how bad cognitive dissonance is, and I see how people in this country can make up rumors and quickly try to make something into a situation that it never was. My dad had told me that people had called my brother-in-law and were trying to say that currently during our protest, people were throwing rocks through windows and breaking things downtown.
Are you
Was
serious?
saying that over the phone as the protest was happening. That never happened. I think the worst thing that happened in the protest was someone passed out from heat exhaustion before we went.
Yeah.
That was the worst thing. That was the worst thing.
Yeah. That's just people trying to, you know what I mean, start shit and put the wrong idea in people's ears. That, you know how it is. People fear what they don't understand, hate what they can't conquer. I will always say that, and that's what they do. They try to cause the confusion. A lot of it is media based also, like these big news channels that we look on. You notice they never show the real shit. They never show that, you know, they do now and then, but they're showing 100 times more negative than they are showing the positive of the situation. You know what I mean? So, I mean, and that's where I got to give Facebook, the social media, the things, because we're capturing all those good moments. I mean, it was destruction. I told you I had to put my phone down for a while because I was getting angry and I was getting frustrated. You know what I mean? About seeing all that all the time. And then it turned into, look at the cops dancing, the National Guard doing the electric slide with the crowd. You know what I mean? They got the one guy, black dude from the National Guard. He's saying these things. He's slowly starting to say them, and then he finally is just like, yeah, you know what I mean? Yeah, you know, chanting whatever they were chanting. So these things are needed, man. They're needed. Like I said, I never say for violence. I'm never going to turn anybody in. It's just not my thing. Or I'm not going to stop anybody unless it's a small business that I know supports or something like that. I'm going to step in and say, yo, not this one. I'll fight about that one. But other than that, man, these are needed. And this is what's great about it too, bro. This was the biggest protest ever. All 50 states protested. 18 other countries protested. So that's a great thing. That means that the world is fed up with this bullshit that's been going on for centuries and centuries, that people are like, no, nobody should be put down at that level. And all I say to people like those conservatives, just be lucky we're asking for equality and not revenge. You know what I mean? Just be lucky of that, because we could tear this bitch up if you really want to, bro. You know what I mean? We could tear this bitch up.
Well,
go ahead.
Well, I would say Robert Brandt came in and said, I'm all for peaceful protests, and that one looked great. And as was the 2A rally today, we stood side by side with Black Lives Matter, who supported the Second Amendment, and that's what it's all about, not the right to looting. Right now, Sarge, if you're just joining in, I don't know if you heard the part where I was talking about. By the way, if you guys are in the chat or anything, hey, chat up with us, guys. Come on, come talk to us. Like I said, we're all out here. We're trying to read your guys' chats. But if you're just joining in, we were talking about someone said that literally that shutting off streets for a protest or having police escorts was destruction of property. Like, these people are really that dense. And now anyway, Coach, there's a that what you're talking about, that quote, we're asking for equality instead of not revenge. And I thought that was interesting because I had seen that quote on the John Oliver show today, where John Oliver was talking about that particular, was, I think, are you talking about that black woman who was saying that in a video?
But yeah, well, there's a whole bunch of it goes back a while, so it's just being brought up again. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, here's a funny thing from inside my perspective. So, the gaming world, Activision and Blizzard Entertainment came out to say that they support the Black Lives Matter movement, and yet, this is very funny to me, is they were against the whole Hong Kong thing. Like, people in Hong Kong and China, they're talking about their rights because they're sick and tired of the communist regime over there. Those companies gave in to basically help the Chinese government in their suppression of them, and all of their things over there that they have going on. And then they have the audacity to be like, well, Black Lives Matter, we're all with that. But it's like, yeah, then you're treating people over here the same way. Like, it's such a how would I put it, effed up system, where these people don't want to say that all lives matter, I guess is what I mean. And then, like, I guess the point I was trying to make is we have people that'll say Black Lives Matter, and I agree with that movement, but then they're only doing it because it's cool, and then there's these companies that are so out of touch, like, oh yeah, let's say Black Lives Matter, we're a part of that, and good for them. I do want them to support that movement, but then you're gonna in the same breath do the things you do over in China. You're a hypocrite. You're a hypocrite. Point blank to the point.
You definitely got to do research now. That's what I've learned, being older and being in the movements. Like, it was taught to me at a young age about how to spend your money and where to spend your money. But once you get wild and get on your own, you lose those you don't lose them. They just get pushed off to the side. And then things like this bring it back to say, hey man, be mindful where you're spending your money. You want to hurt people that are hurting people, hit their pockets. Hit their pockets. And we spend a lot of money. The black culture spends a lot of money. And it's something that we're targeted against to shop at these things. I mean, start thinking in that matter. If they don't come out and say anything, they don't come out and say, hey man, we're tired of this bullshit too. And those type of scenarios make statements and stuff to say, hey man, we're with you guys, or there'll be a station here for you guys to get some water or something like that if you need it. Something like that, man, just to show those little things to show, man, you know what I mean? Even if you're bullshitting, you know what I mean? We got something to pull your card on. We'll have video evidence later on to say, yeah, look what you did, buddy. You can't flip-flop now. So, no, I'm all for that stuff, man. Just be mindful where you spend your money. I think we had that conversation when we went out after the thing. Said, we were
trying to buy something local. But here's the crazy part. So we can touch on this a little bit because I think this is interesting. So me and you yesterday, we're trying to find a place to eat locally after the protest. We can't find a place. The only places that are open are these big corporate places, like your Wendy's, your KFC, your McDonald's, your Walmart, your Pizza Hut. Like, if you want to go to a local business, like, half of them aren't even open after 8 o'clock right now. And it just breaks my heart because it's like, here I am. I want to shop local, and I can't. I'm glad I went out to Juice today. Shout out to Juice. I got a smoothie from you guys today. Expensive, but good, and it was local. I'd rather support the local than go over to somewhere to buy something for $3, right? Like we talked about, putting that money back in the pockets of the people that need it versus spending $3 at Walmart or wherever to get your ice cream, and it's just making a company richer. When they pay your people pennies. It's just sad.
Right. And I'm about that life because I think I told you this story. I don't know if I ever told it on the show, but every year there's a neighborhood that I lived in all my like younger adult life until I got out of there. My kids are from that neighborhood, coach in that neighborhood. So everybody, when the season comes around, everybody just know, yeah, they see me coming, they're just like, all right, let me go get a check. They hand me the check for the kids, to get them what they need, stuff like that, putting back into the community and stuff. And I went to a new store that popped up. It was an Arab store, and I said, hey man, this is what we do every year. Everybody just pitches in a couple bucks or something like this. And the guy flat out told me, no, I ain't doing that. And I said, man, just give me $20 or something, man. Give me some free water or something, do something. And he adamantly is like, I'm not giving you nothing. So I said, you know what? I guarantee nobody from this neighborhood will spend a penny in this store. And that's what we did. Got the kids, got some flyers, and went out, started putting them where, on cars and everywhere. Don't shop there. Within a month, 2 weeks, they were closed down, saying they'd open back up.
Never did.
Never did. 2 weeks later, out.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So you got to do things like that. You can't take and take and take and not give back. It's just that simple. You know what I mean? Like I explain to people all the time, like, I had a conversation with a few people that were trying to do some things up here to get some things going in programs, and they thought that it was a waste of money to do some things like sponsor teams. And I'm like,
Right.
What are you talking about, man? That makes no sense to me. If you do business in this town, you should be giving to those. Doesn't have to be mine.
Right, like
but
local charities or programs, especially with the children. I mean, it's just gonna look better on you as a person, like as a company. It's gonna do its own advertising, really.
Right.
Also said, so because they didn't want to support your cause, you had them closed down. Sounds like communism to me. That's what Sarge said in the chat.
Whatever.
Yeah. I don't know if that's quite communism, because I don't think it was like someone owned the means of production in that particular sense. I think that was actually capitalism, where people made buying decisions in the free market and they chose not to shop there. So maybe just a slight correction, but
every business that is in that community for years and years and years said the same thing. Let's shut them down. They don't deserve to be in our community. White people, black people, everybody was like, no, we ain't going for that. So if you want to call that communist, I guess Erie, Pennsylvania is communism. So something interesting that I seen today, we heard about the Drew Brees situation, right? You heard about, he said, nobody took it as racist. They took it as insensitive. You know what I mean? Insensitive to, where you're from. You play in a game that you've been around black players all your life in that locker room, and football, Dev, like I know football. That's family. When you guys are in there, it's family. It's dysfunctional family, but don't try to mess with anybody in that family. So a lot of his players took it personal. Like Malcolm Jenkins was like, wait a minute, and people started coming out and said, my grandfathers fought in World War II too, but they didn't come back to praise. They came back to, you can't vote. You can't drink at this water fountain. You can't you got no respect. They weren't respected with their uniforms on or nothing. That is the point of all these things that people are not understanding. Nobody's trying to take that away from you. But at a time like this, you got to be sensitive. You got to be sensitive to your fellow man and say, hey, man, I understand what you're going through. And this was what was bad about it, though. He said it in 2017, people let it slide. He said it again, and he didn't have to say it. He brought it up. The question didn't ask him. He made a point to say it. And then all hell, once Shannon Sharp opened his mouth, it was on from there, because Shannon knows what that's about. He played in that sport, and he knows what it is like when you're with somebody. And he said the same thing I thought. We put Drew Brees in a different category. Like Drew Brees is at the cookout. He's you know what I mean? He's invited to the cookout because of the things he's done in New Orleans. So instead of like once people got over the madness and he talked to Shannon again, this was the new development today. They had a talk. And Shannon put it out there like, I sincerely believe that it's not a cancel issue. Like it's not that, that he knows he made a mistake and he's going to have to make up some, for it. We don't want to cancel all the 15 years of good he did, the football and
for
everything.
The one thing, for the one thing he said,
thing. So, and I truly believe that, so, I respect the hell out of Shannon Sharp for how he carries himself on and off the field. So I got to go with that.
Yeah.
I gotta go with yeah.
Well, I mean, I don't have much of an opinion on the whole Drew Brees thing. I mean, let Drew, as a person, who's white, you say something, you're out of place, you're out of character. It might, you say something out of character, but that might have came from a place of misunderstanding. So you give that person opportunity because their actions didn't follow up with that. Now, if there's actions that led up to someone thinking maybe Drew Brees got some problems with black people, then of course you go up to that. Sarge says, okay, getting back to the grind, great video. You did yesterday, by the way, Devin, and you did a great job. Have a great rest of the evening, fellas. All right, see you, Sarge. Todd Lynn, what's going on? Todd says, so you ran a man in, as you called him, Arab, out of business for not donating to your sports teams, and you're proud. That's Todd coming in here talking. Yes.
Very proud.
Right.
Very proud.
Yeah, somebody who doesn't do business in your community. I mean, and it wasn't just Coach too. Like I said, it was a collective effort. I mean, it wasn't just Coach who was doing this thing. It was a collective effort. I mean, everybody has to make a decision. Like for instance, Gourmet Buffet. This is my Uncle Todd. I know who this is. For instance, say Gourmet Buffet it was like last year, they got a whole scandal about bed bugs in their food. Someone thought there were bed bugs in their food, but really it was these people that were just really gross, disgusting people because they had the health organization come in and check, the food inspectors come and check, and they didn't have anything in there. Now, if people chose to believe the rumors, and probably some of them did, they never went back to Gourmet Buffet again, right? Because of the comments these people made because the Chinese restaurant wouldn't give them a free meal. And Gourmet Buffet's still there, right? Did thing, good business. That's a free market economy. So if people agree that that place is a bad place and they're going to protest it because they don't do service for certain people, it'd be like if we had a restaurant up here in Altoona, and for some reason they weren't giving money to charities, or they refused to serve people or certain people of a certain organization or color or whatever. Wouldn't you want to boycott that? That's my only question. Like wouldn't you want people not to make that place profitable because they have values that are not inclusive to everybody in society? And wouldn't you want to back the people that are inclusive, that are helping the community?
And plus, yeah, and also you got to think of this. This is a community. It's a community of people that, they keep the neighborhood safe. They do all these things. You're allowed to come in. You can come in here and open up a store, but like participate in the community. Why? You're taking from it, taking, and you can't give back to what everybody in the community agrees upon and let you come into the community. So let's not sit up on a high horse. Whoever said that about being proud of it, I'm very proud of it. Everybody was proud of it because we don't want people leeching from the neighborhood and not giving back. It's very simple.
Right. Alyssa Kathleen came up in the chat. She says, well, yeah, of course. Why support a place that goes against your moral beliefs? Agreed. And you can try and convince people of why you can't go there. I mean, look at vegans. I don't agree with veganism, but they talk about some of the moral reasons for vegans and why they eat only vegetables and plant-based stuff and not animals. But the meat industry is a sinister, diabolical thing, and there are ethical problems with it. So people have every right to not eat meat, is what I'm saying. Like, even though I'll eat meat, and I believe there's problems with the meat market or the meat industry, so you can't convince everybody. That's all.
Right.
And Todd comes in and says they are providing a service. They are providing a service, but just like in a free market economy, people have any right to refuse that service or not.
Shop there.
Right.
You don't have to shop at somebody's place.
Coach could have put out the message that he wanted people not to shop there, and people had the choice to still shop there, but they chose not to because they were with Coach. So again, I don't see the problem with it, and also that's not communism. Again, just for anybody out there that might have thought it was communism. Right. Not naming any names, Big Sarge. Now here's what I want to talk about, the Drew Brees thing. How about we switch gears a little bit? Let's talk about someone black in the community who seems to not be maybe in tune with the culture itself. We're talking about Candace Owens. Because she made go ahead. I want you to kind of talk about it, but she did make a statement basically talking about how George Floyd wasn't really a good person, and I'll let you go from there.
Well, the thing that kills me about her is she's just playing the trolling game. She wants to be in that right lifestyle. She's got a plan, and she's doing what I hate anybody doing. right or left, that they never say that a person is wrong or a situation is wrong. And then they take every example that they know is going to get them clout on that side just to attack somebody. And she's attacking her culture when her culture is in need. And that's what's fucked up about the situation. Who cares that the dude did not deserve to die because he has a record and he does drugs? It makes no sense. And she mentioned he had coronavirus. What the hell does all that stuff got to do with it? She makes very valid points. Don't get me wrong. She makes valid points, but she ruins them when she opens her mouth like to things that she doesn't even have to open her mouth to. She didn't have to say anything about that. She could have just put rest in peace or we have to do better or something like that. She didn't have to make that video and talk about martyr. You know what I mean? That's just how things get started. Somebody's going to be a martyr in a situation at the time, no matter what it is, because everything blows up into that scenario. Now, the thing that pissed me off about her, though, is that she's lying. She said she never experienced racism before, but yet received a $35,000 check when she was in $37, $500 check when she was in high school at Stanford High School, which I think is in Connecticut. I'm pretty sure it's Connecticut school where she's from. The mayor of Stanford's son was prank calling her and saying that he was going to kill her, calling her the N-word. She's dirty. How is that not racism? And you got a settlement for it.
Yeah,
come on.
Yeah, exactly. No, and I totally agree. So there she is lying through her teeth. I'm going to read out this comment about what Alyssa said real quick, and then I'll get back.
Right.
So Alyssa says, even if he wasn't a good person, that doesn't matter. Not only that, people are saying he had drugs in his system, but toxology reports in full take 4 to 6 weeks to come back. So they're saying that they're saying that he had these things in his system, but they actually didn't do the actual check because it takes 4 to 6 weeks. So basically, she's saying that maybe the people were making some shit up, which I don't disagree with. But regardless,
it's known that he has that history and all that,
right.
But that still don't justify anything.
Right.
If
it
he
doesn't
was
even matter.
Jail, yeah, if he was out of jail, that means he served his time and he did his time. That don't give you a death sentence because of you know what I mean? That's
right.
pretty much the part of it. And with her, she just has to. To me, she has something hateful like towards. To me, it's not business with her. I see something deep rooted. Like she really doesn't like the color of her skin. Yeah. She doesn't. Like she doesn't like that culture of like she's probably never been in that culture. Like she probably lived a great life. I'm not sure about 100%, but it does sound like she's always been privileged in a life and probably didn't hang around, and had the same struggles as black people in the inner city that relate to each other and just can't relate to certain things. Yeah. So when she sees things and she feels more comfortable with that crowd of people, that's fine. But do not attack your race. Yeah. Do not attack your race.
Well, the thing with her that I think is interesting with Candace is, and I watched the rebuttal video to her whole argument of like what she was saying. And it was just a valid point. He was a black guy saying that black people, you guys need to be more he said you guys got to be more welcoming to the people that aren't like with the culture in your community or something, because like they're calling her like a coon and everything, even though she's doing coon like things. So like you're gonna get that title, but they were saying like he's telling people like people in the black community, if you find the black kid in your class that's like he's nerdy, he's not with it, like you gotta support that person. He's like, because like or whatever, because that guy's gonna get some people that you say no, you're not part of the culture, the smoke whatever during those younger youthful years, and then you're gonna push that person away, say whatever, and then he's gonna get some white people around him that say, oh yeah, you're cool, you can, and then he's gonna take some of those beliefs that come with, I'm not saying like totally racist, but you're gonna take some of those beliefs that some of those people have, and then you're gonna be almost like I guess a disconnect from the culture is what you're going to have. And go ahead, sorry.
And you're absolutely right, but that's what I always stood up for. I bullied bullies. I didn't care who it was. I didn't care what color you were, none of that. We were like that. We ran like that. The group of people I ran didn't have those issues. And we're talking about the 80s and 90s. We fought against those issues together, So that's what gave me, let me go back a little, get back to the march again. It gave me that feeling again. I wasn't feeling that. You know what I mean? Like, that's why we do what we do here at Bridging the Gap. But I wasn't feeling that a lot from the people I'm around. And it gave me that nostalgia back of all the people and how we came up. That's what things that kept coming through my mind, that we were about that shit, though. We were about that life. And that's the world that it's coming to right now, Dev. People are just fed up and they're like, you know what? Let's just equal this out and live life so we don't have to look at each other crazy anymore and just enjoy life.
Right. And I think that's what the problem is too with the conservative movement, that people, that the all lives matter community, like that, those people. That's the problem, is that they think that, oh, you guys are good enough. This was an argument I had yesterday too. Someone said, I forget the exact wording, but they were saying, like, aren't all people bad or something, right? Like, are there inherently evil people? And I said, yes, there are inherently evil people. Not all cops are bad, yeah. But it's like, it doesn't mean that you just say that and you chalk it up to that, because we got evidence that it's not just that. And I said, and I use this as an analogy because he was a baseball player. I said, now listen, I said, when you first started playing baseball, did you quit because you didn't hit every ball? Did you quit because, or did you go and you practiced and played for years and years and got better to up your percentage, knowing damn well you weren't going to hit everything?
Right.
So there's no excuse whenever you're going to say, oh, we're not going to get every bad cop. That's no excuse to say, well, then the system just stays the same. No, we have to make a system that when bad cops do bad shit, they are penalized and they don't have the ability in the first place to do those things. It's plain and simple. We can't just go around acting like, oh, well, it's good enough, but it's not good enough because you're not a part of it and you don't understand it. And the truth is, a lot of these people I'm talking with, they're part of a rural community. My rural community. And I'm being honest with you, as a lot of these people want to talk about, they don't understand that if I talk to, I've since I met you, Coach, and we've done football and all kinds of different things, I've met so many people in the black community, and every single one of them has a story. Every single one has a story about a run with police. And it don't even matter if they were 15, 18, 20, 40, 60, it doesn't matter. They got a story. They all have a story with a run-in with police officers. And I'm not saying all police officers are bad, but clearly that is a problem. Because sure, Candace Owens can show everybody a graph and all these different things that show, oh, look, blacks killing blacks and all this other bullshit, right? And that's a whole nother can of worms we can open up about how they want to say, well, why does no one get outraged when white people kill white people or black people kill black people? And I said, no, they do, but we're not talking about individuals. We're talking about a system. Because people do get mad. People do get mad. People do get mad when white people kill white people. People do get mad when black people kill white people. People do get mad when black people kill black people. The problem is, there's no problem. The thing is, we don't blow that all out of proportion because we understand that's one individual killing one individual. Right? We're mad at that person. We're not mad at a system. When you have clearly shown that there are laws that allow cops to target people of color, and not just people, like, we're not just talking about black people. Right. Training, that they're trained to do that.
Yeah.
It's sad. It really is. So for any of you people out there in my rural community that may be watching this or anywhere in the world where you, instead of paying attention to these stupid graphs and things that really, I'm telling you, they are not going to validate your perspective. Well, I want you to go out there and talk to, I challenge you to talk to 10 black people. They will have a story about them or someone in their family who has been targeted by police for nothing. They were guilty until proven innocent. Because that's how it is. Because in this country, you're supposed to be innocent until proven guilty. And unfortunately, for many people of color in our world and in our country, it's the reverse polar opposite. They will stop you for any reason just to try and find something on you. Because I know how many white crackheads and dope smokers I know around here. And them motherfuckers are walking away scot-free. But there's black people that don't do anything wrong to get shook down. And all kinds of things.
It's a thing. It's a real thing. People want to say that it's not, and then they say don't do crime. Like, yes, there's criminals. There's criminals in every race. Yes, people are due, but there's still, even if you know that this man sells crack, you still cannot violate his rights, because now you will violate everybody's right. You see, that's what we're talking about. If you do it right, like when I told you when I used to run the streets and do my thing, I had no ill will towards that cop that was after me. He had no ill will towards me. It was a, I'm going to catch you. No, you're not type of thing.
Cat and mouse, yeah. It's a game.
And he used to just pop up and we would joke. And when it was off, see each other out in public and he wasn't doing it, it wasn't that, we would just give a head nod, and just keep it going. That's just the way it is. Cops are meant to, they're supposed to catch criminals. But when people that are, no matter what their jacket is or not, if they're not committing a violent crime where you have to use deadly force, these police officers need to be trained and put back on their fucking leashes, because it seems like they're being taught to hold them, like you hold the dog back, you hold it back, and as soon as you let that dog go after something, it's going to attack. So that's what they're being trained as. They're not de-escalating. They're not spending time on the de-escalation. Like I told you about my uncle. My uncle lived in the neighborhood, but he was telling these cops, all you have to do if you want them off the corner is hop out and say, hey guys, what's up? Boom, 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 boom. Guess what? You're going to have to get off this corner. But the minute that you jump out with aggressiveness with weapons drawn, now it's tension. It's tension. You don't have to do that. Even like I understand in some areas you have to do tactical things and you have to do it. You have to. But a lot of these things are not happening in areas because believe this, there's places where police officers do not patrol. They will not go in those areas without SWAT and coming in deep. Anything short of the National Guard, they're not coming in those areas. So they neglect those areas and then they take out all their bullshit on the areas that are really not that bad and they're vulnerable. So those are the type of things that need to be fixed.
Yeah. Alyssa Kathleen out here with another comment says the entire concept of ACAB is that no, not all cops are bad, but there's too many to trust that you are safe. And again, I don't even know about the number of cops, although that's something I'll talk about here in a second. But to me, it's more like you have a system where if a cop does something wrong, the cops take care of it. Why are they in charge of their own investigation? Why are they in charge of everything that happens and the reporting and all the information that goes back in there? Like, I'm sorry, but that's just, they shouldn't have that power to do that because they can literally write down, and even when they document things, what do they want to do? What was a good example? They were trying to pass laws that every time an officer pulled out a weapon, they would have to document that they pulled out their weapon, right?
Right.
And the police station fought back against this because they said, well, we're going to have cops that aren't willing to pull out a gun in a situation they need to because they don't want to fill out the paperwork. Yeah, dummy, that's the point, so you don't pull out the gun no more in a situation where you don't need to pull out the gun.
Yeah.
You do that too much. And then if you put it out when you weren't supposed to, then we can justify that you didn't do it when you were at a time when you were or weren't supposed to.
There's times that they have to pull out guns. I understand that in certain areas, like when we were young and running around in the projects, we're talking about hundreds of people in a project area, and a fight breaks out, right? And the cops have to come in. They're going to have to come in hot and heavy. They're going to have to come in hot. They can't come in there on some peaceful shit at that time. They have to come in tactical. So I understand those type things, something's going on, but we're talking about just hopping out on people and violating their rights, like because they're bored or they need to get their numbers. That's what needs to be changed. There should be no numbers, no quotas, no no arrest. You should make how you get promoted to other things in the police station. It should be what's not on your record. Like, oh, you did 3 years, put your time in, your record's good, there you go, open spot's yours. Shouldn't be on, all these arrests, we got to go make arrests. Oh, where are we going to target to make arrests at? Let's go to the poor neighborhoods. Let's go to the neighborhoods and target some people. You know what I mean? We can't do it you're not going to get away with it going to the suburbs. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Not at all.
Yeah, and again, I agree because Clinton back in the day, Isaac Russo comes and says, police reform, defund them. And Alyssa Kathleen, exactly. It makes no sense. Another station should investigate them, not the station it happened in. And Wolfgang Moon says, precisely. Again, I cannot stress this enough because we were talking, this is a topic I did want to talk about, is defunding the police. because we could take money away from the police, and we could do a lot of police reform, like we've been talking about this whole time, like some of the things we suggested, like external investigations. And here's the funny thing too: the government, the government, the federal government can issue internal investigations or external investigations of a police unit. But here's the funny thing: so Obama and George W. Bush in their presidencies, and they issued, I believe George W. Bush issued 12, and Obama issued 15 federal investigations. Donald Trump, 1 federal investigation into police since his presidency. 1.
What was it? Do you know what it was for? Which
I don't know
situation?
I don't know which one was for, but regardless, we have presidents like Obama, and I would have to say that I think police brutality has gone up, I would say, in recent years. And I'm not saying that's a fact. I would just say, based on my knowledge of what's been going on, I feel like it's gone up in the past recent years.
Right.
And I would feel like wouldn't you have more of these challenges than just one? But you have one. So regardless, you defund them, and then, like we talked about, putting money into programs to help poor communities get out of their situation or what have you. Like we said, rehabilitation rather than punishment.
Yeah. There's an easy fix to this, bro. There is an easy fix. Weed out all those bad cops, get some good ones in there, and introduce them to the community. When they get a new kid coming in, you got old school taking the new kid riding around the block, checking things out. Hop out. Talk to the community. We are not against police. We are against the tactics and the training and all the BS that comes with it that they're being allowed to do. And they're pretty much looking at us like there's nothing you can do about it. Stay in your place or else. Right. No. What? And then that gives a bad name to the new cop or the good cop, because we're like, here they come, and the tension starts. We're like, we got to do certain things tactical to protect ourselves.
Right. I mean, you can't sit there and say, oh, is he a good cop or a bad cop? You're gonna ruin. You're in for a bad time if you're gonna take that gamble in that community. Like, oh, is he good? Well, okay, I'll play my cards, because we've seen that. We've seen what happens in certain situations. Alyssa Kathleen wanted to ask us a question. She said, "Can I ask how y'all feel about the fact that police aren't trained to deal with autistic people? They are pinned down." So they pinned down a little boy in Arizona a few years back for what's it say? Stimming? For stimming, I can't read what that says. I want to say for stimming. I'm because they assumed he was on drugs. I don't know if I forget what word that is, Alyssa. I don't know if that was a typo or not, but yeah, and I'd have to agree. There's a lot of things that I think, as a police officer, if someone who's going to be a protector and server of the people, because that's what you are. That's what you are, first and foremost. You're really not an enforcer. You're a protector, right? That's kind of what you think. Right. Maybe sometimes enforcing is part of protecting, but you're a protector first and foremost, and you serve the public and the people of your local community. And I think that talks about undertraining in general for police officers, because as someone who's going to do that, you should be prepared to deal with people of all different situations and medical situations. And of course, I have family members that are on the spectrum. That even, they have sensitivity to loud noises and things. So imagine if like a cop was screaming at them or in their face or whatever, and they start plugging their ears and they said, "Do not resist. What are you doing?" Like, put your hands behind your back, and they start doing this because they literally have like physical sensitivities that they're overstimulated. Is how he responded. Even get ready for certain overwhelming situations. Yes, I guess I'm talking about that. Oh, like self-stimulating. Okay, that's what you meant. But.
Yeah. That's a great question. That's one of the things that goes on, because you see a lot of videos of that they don't understand that kid has some issues, or mental, whether it's that autism, mental health issues, and they need to be trained for that. And one thing also is, like, I don't understand why the police are called for that thing. Like, this guy has to feel crazy. Like, remember that thing that happened in Penn State where the dad called to get a welfare check and they end up killing his kid. This just happened the other day in Chicago. He was having a mental breakdown, kid, 19-year-old. His dad's calling the cops, and he's trying to keep him from going outside and keep safe. He tells the downstairs neighbor, "Hey, can you open up the door when the cops come? I can't leave him. I don't want him to go out and hurt somebody or hurt himself." So he called the cops and asked could he get some help. They come, they shoot the lady, the downstairs North lady, and shoot the kid. So now what you're not understanding that this kid is having a mental health problem. This is where you have to be like, you know what? They said he was swinging a bat. Okay, but he's having a mental health problem. He's having a mental health problem. You were called there for that. You know,
de-escalating again. What you said, de-escalating.
Yeah, you got to take your time and understand what's going on instead of coming in hot with all like, yeah, we're about to take this. You know what I mean? Like,
take them down.
They can't defend themselves, so they need properly trained. So great question. That's something that we need to vote people in that are going to say that. That's what when they're saying defund police, that's part of it. They're saying like they're just using that as a overall category, saying let's cut some of the police, let's cut this, but let's look at training, let's look at the policing the community, because I guarantee if you go to those skills and say we're just going to revamp everything and start changing them like every day or how you ever have to do to get them changed, and then just go out there and start doing those things, and that stuff will stop.
Yep.
You will have very isolated incidents. So when it happens, we know that one of those two people are wrong.
Yeah.
And it'll be easier to figure that out. So.
Yep. Well, Alyssa Kathleen says, we also have issues with social cues, eye contact, etc., and also getting flustered and overwhelmed easily. Yeah, I agree. And I again, that all ties into what we were just talking about, police not being properly trained on how to deal with situations, and some police having a shoot first, ask questions later mentality. Wolfgang Moon actually said, holy shit, that almost happened to my brother. Yeah, my heart goes out to your brother, Zach. And like I said, I totally agree with that. I mean, like you're having a mental breakdown and then someone comes in and shoots you. I mean, it's insane. And Alyssa goes, having social workers on the task force would be a big step, a huge step. No reason there can't be one social worker to one officer. Yeah. Changing it up, or
like how you got the dogs, how they have dogs, you got to call for a dog when you need the dog. Like
right.
Call for the social worker and wait.
Right. Yeah. Like
unless you have to.
Right.
Unless you have to.
I was gonna say maybe not one for one, but maybe like for every 2 or 3 officers you have one on call who's like in you ever see like movies where they talk about detectives, investigators. You have that guy on call like, hey, another murder happened. We need forensics in here. You know, like that kind of thing. Like you're sitting there and like, hey, we have a guy with a bat. They're saying he's having a psychotic breakdown right now, or he's having some sort of mental issue. Hey, we need you here to de-escalate this and go through it that way. And a lot of these things take time. It's like, I think like you need to take the time to really sit down. Like, I don't know. And I'd have to actually talk to some police officers to figure this one out. But, you know, like, are you guys on a time limit to get things solved? Like, do you have to be in and out of there in like 30 minutes or something? So like, you're like, all right, we have to resolve this now. Or is it like you don't have the hour or two to just sit there, and it might not even take that long just to talk with somebody for a minute and say, hey, you know, we're not here to hurt you, blah blah, and all those different things. And Alyssa said they could even ride along depending on the call too. Yep, exactly what we're saying.
Yeah, you have somebody. I mean, that's their job. You get like in this area, you probably need 1, 2 a shift. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
In this area, big city like New York, you probably need like 30, 40, 50 of them. You know what I mean? That are there. In certain areas, they get that call, they're out like the firemen. You know what I mean? They're out. They're running out the door to get there to calm that situation down so the police don't have to take action. And because let's be honest, if a guy's flipping out, and he starts hurting other people, they got to do what they got to do. I understand that part. But we want to try to de-escalate before we have to go to but you get but the training though, bro, this is what's crazy. The training is set up to be aggressive. And if you let that, like I said before, that dog off the chain, that's aggressive, what are they going to do? They're going to attack. They're looking for it. They're looking, like you got to, like I can imagine, I said this as a joke last time, but I was dead serious. A lot of those guys were like, we get to do the riot thing. Let's go. You know what I mean?
They get to put on the gear and the helmet and stuff. I mean, I'm not going to lie to you. It'd be kind of like putting on the football pads, I guess, or something. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's an exciting thing. But then it's just what's on the other side of that. Because, you know, the difference is football's a game. Whereas this shit ain't no game. People dying and getting hurt and shit and get their lives messed up because of it. And Wolfgang Moon says, Alyssa, that's a great idea. Yep, it sure is. And now, Coach, we're at the latter end of the show, so I think it's time for us to talk about an important thing here, which is what's next. Because we've been talking about the protest, and the protest is over. And guys, we have to be honest with ourselves. Going out with a bunch of signs, shutting down the street for a little bit, and putting our signs out there doesn't change the fucking world, and it doesn't make things happen. That's it. People will gladly walk with us and do that. We are raising awareness of the idea. We are showing solidarity in our community. We are standing with each other. But at the end of the day, that doesn't change the laws. It can influence it, but it doesn't change them. So we talk about what's next for us. What do we do as the American people to help move this thing forward? So, Coach, I'll let you go with any ideas you have, and I'll go give some of mine.
Well, definitely you got to get some people in the power structure that understands. That if you can't make laws to something you don't understand, and then change them at will. Change the goalposts every time something you see that it gets fixed and it's not working. They just keep trying things, throwing things at the wall instead of listening to the people that are actually there. So we got to get some of these younger people to get up, get motivated, and get in these decision-making power positions and start making these moves. I think we also got to structure it out on how our government is run. Stop letting these Congress people be up there for all those years and they're stuck in their ways. They're going to keep making laws and enforcing laws that no longer go along with today's society.
And we did say that you vote for your Senate and Congress people, because your president is he's one dude or person. He's one person, or she is one person. If we ever get a female president, they're only one person, and even though they have power, especially in the military side of things and a lot of executive orders, whatnot, they still aren't the whole power structure, because the people that make the laws are the people we need to be paying attention to. So I say, cautious of who you're electing and bringing into office.
Yeah, one more thing I wanted to throw in here too. This is a big part of it, is educating your kids. If your kids, you don't want your kids to fall into that trap of prejudging other people. You want to educate them. And we're at a point right now. We are at a point where we can tell our kids, man, for real, like in the black culture, growing up, you have to tell your kids certain things about being around white people. It's just a fact, because of all the things that happened in the past. I was told, my cousins, I told my kids, be careful when you're around a white girl. I'm honestly like that. Do not be alone with them in a setting at their house or anything like that, because some of the things that have happened in the past, you got to be real careful. But we're at a point where we can change all that stuff right now by educating our kids. Like, if you don't want them to act like that, you might have to tell them that they can't hang around Uncle Jimmy that's a racist, that's using, giving them, even though you love Uncle Jimmy, Jimmy's got to go. He can't be around, because if somebody's feeling hate around my kids, no matter who they are, they got to go. And I just wanted to tell this one story about that video. That young girl, she's recording herself explaining to her dad about what's really going on with the riots and why they're rioting, and she's explaining it, and the dad's like, no, shut up, you listen to me, I work in those neighborhoods, those people want to be like that, that's what their life is, they choose to be like that. And she's like, what are you talking about? So this tells me that girl goes to school and listens to other people, and challenging her parents to be like, why did you tell me these things? You know what I mean? Why would you tell me
questions?
Yeah. And I'm going in here and I'm seeing that, that's not what it is. I'm hanging around with them, I'm basketball. So the worst thing that's going to happen to this dude is she's going to date a black dude and bring him home, and he's going to bug the fuck out. So she should get a scholarship to an HBCU for that one. That was dope how she broke it down to her parents. It was like, and he, it's hard to challenge your parents. She's only like 14, 15 years old. And she's like, no, I will not shut up. And she's giving them the facts of like, this is why, boom, 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 boom. She ran it down. So shout out to her. If you get a chance to look at that video, I couldn't find it. I was going to ask you, maybe we looked over it, but I couldn't find it in time. So if you get a chance, look at that. And she deserves to be some kind of award for that. For real, because that's what's needed. That's what's needed, and vice versa. The parents need to teach the kids that, but if the kids are being taught that, they need to go find out for themselves and go teach the parents.
But I had that conversation with my dad the other day. As soon as I pulled in, he wanted to talk about it. and
Okay.
and he was talking about all that stuff, and he had all the hot button lines that you hear from most people on that side, like, well,
Right.
all lives matter, and and like, yeah, man, we get it. And then he's like, well, how do you know all the information that you know is really true? I'm like, listen, usually, and this is what I told him, I said, usually, Dad, I would pull up the articles and I would pull up the things. I'm like, but I'm telling you as somebody who has black friends, and I'm not using that card, and people, I talk to these people, bro. Like, I'm really talking to them. I said, and they are telling me these things. Like, and you know how you say you go off your experiences? Well, I'm telling you, I'm going off my experiences, and I'm telling you that this is what I'm understanding. I said, and I don't need all this BS that you're giving me right now, because you're giving me BS. Like, he's given what I told him were speculations. Like, me and him talked about it because, we talk about our conspiracy theories and stuff. Like, and, you're allowed to believe your conspiracy theory and whatever else is true. You're allowed. You're right. It's America. You can believe whatever you want. But at the end of the day, they are speculation. My conspiracy theories, even the ones I believe in, I still say they're speculation because they're not all provable, distinguishable. I'm just saying I have evidence to believe that these things might be true, but they're not confirmed. So I just say they're speculative. But regardless, I'm just saying I had these conversations, man. I'm not using that card, bro. Alyssa says, bro, I'm not using that card. Well, I have to say it because when some people say it, they're saying it like, oh, you got black friends, so you can say the N-word or whatever the hell it is. Like those kind of things. That's a conversation for another day. What's that?
Said you know better than that.
Right, yeah, exactly. Like, I'm not going to whip that out. Like, that's not why I said it. I only said it to say that I have talked to people in the community that had these experiences, whereas a lot of the people that I know who say these things have not had talked to these people about their experiences. And
you're open-minded though too.
Yeah.
You're open-minded outside of the box and said, let me find out for myself.
Right. And my old man is open-minded. By the end of the conversation, he was leaning a little bit towards my way, which is good.
Got him there, Dad.
but that's the thing is, a lot of times I have black friends so I can be racist, is what Alyssa Kathleen said. Yeah, well, there's people that say that. There's people that are like, oh yeah, I have black friends so I can be racist. Well, what if your black friends knew what you were commenting on Facebook? What if your black friends knew what you were saying behind the scenes? You know what I mean? Like, realistically speaking, because then you gotta go, oh yeah, right, probably not working with my best issues of my black friends. Aaron Stifler says, call out all the races. It takes time, but I've helped change the minds of family, parents, aunts, uncles, grandparents. Hate being called out, but they need to hear things from the other side or they'll never open their minds. Yeah, and I agree. I agree with that fully, because there's times now within my own family that I don't bring up things. Like, they'll be talking about that certain thing, and I just shut up because I'm like, I'm just not in the mood to talk to you for 30 minutes about, or an hour, or 2 hours. And then, all you're going to do is say everything I'm saying is wrong, and all this, and you're not going to agree with me. For Christ's sake, some guy I talked to for 5 minutes blocks me because I have a point about protests and being destruction of public, so.
Yeah, just remember, guys, and out there, always remember, I mean, this time is like, this is a historic time right now. The what next part is let's not go say, hey, we protested. Shit got looted. We tore some shit up, did some protesting. All right, let's go back to normal. No, let's go on to the next step. This is a perfect time to have those tough conversations with the people and decide where you stand and go help that issue. Like me, I'm about anything that's squashing the underdog. I don't care about really what the color. The color thing comes because that's how I grew up. These are my problems with the police, my kids' problems. You know what I mean? My family's problems. So that's why this is so to me. But like I said, I've always been bully to bully, man. You got to stand for something or you're going to fall for anything. This is the time to stand up for something you believe in and try to do your part. I'm not saying go loot. I'm not saying you got to run from office. I'm not saying it's the little thing. You could do anything little. Just go find out what that is, and find out for yourself.
And that was something I was going to say too. And also, Alyssa, I got to ask this quick because I want clarification. Do you think I'm a racist person because I said that? I'm curious because your comments are like confusing to me. So let me know if that's the case. But
racist,
what's that? I'm racist. I'm racist, Coach. I mean, Rob. But regardless, another good thing you can do, and this is something I brought up too, is just pay attention to your people in the community more. Like, not just black people, but people. Like, really pay attention to the people. Oh, she said no, laughing my ass off. But pay attention to the people in the community that you have around you. Pay attention, pay attention, pay attention. When the cops come over to someone's house, ask why the cops are over at someone's house. Whenever anything's going down with any of your people at all, ask them how they're feeling. Check up on people, man. Check up people in your neighborhood. Check up on your family. Check up on anyone, man. Just be vigilant, because that's the problem. Like, you know, I was thinking about that with the whole George Floyd situation. I mean, you know, like, was there anyone around at the time that was in support of George Floyd that would have, like, I don't know, like, would things would have went, this is a question I asked myself, would things would have went differently if someone was there to, like, say, you know, like, get off of George Floyd and, like, actually physically tell an officer to get off, but, you know, without fear of their life?
I believe if Steven Jackson, his friend, was there, the one that plays basketball, if he was there, he would have jumped in that and fear for life or death or nothing. If it was my kid, oh, I'm in. If it was my friend, you know, it depends. Like, I'm in. Like, I'm not going to let you kill. You're going to have to kill us both right here. I would not be able to be okay with standing there watching my friend or my family member get killed because the law enforcement says that's the right thing to do. No, I'm not seeing no badge or a gun. I'm seeing you killing somebody in front of me. That's the way that's going to handle. So those situations, I don't recommend to anybody, you know what I mean? Like, but it's to that point where people they're not respecting that uniform no more. You have to start earning that. So that's where that's at.
Right. I totally agree. So last comment here we'll read, and then we'll get ready to wrap up the show unless you have something else, Coach. You have anything else?
No, I'm good. I'm good.
Okay.
Good show.
Yeah,
good show.
We went over a little bit, but it was good. And I'm glad. Hey, everybody. Alyssa, shout out to you for liking the page and coming in and talking with us today. We love it, Alyssa. You know, if you haven't already, share our show, man. Like I said, we love you coming here and talking. Especially bringing that autistic perspective, because we didn't have that today. Like, we didn't have that, and that's bridging gap moment right there. You come in here talking about your perspective on things and asking us questions that maybe we hadn't thought about at the time that we weren't going to. So you brought a light today. And you said autistic people can't understand jokes. God damn, Dev. Right? Well, if you're calling me autistic, I don't know. I mean, maybe I reside on the spectrum somewhere. I'm not sure, but I know I had to get the test for that. But I'm not trying to go to the doctor for nothing anytime soon, so forget all that.
Yeah, you'll come back with the corona. Oh, another thing. I always want to say this, but like, I do have one more thing. Shout out to all the white people that have been out here marching and doing that. Every culture out there helping the cause. Shout out to you. And the reason why I think it got so huge too, you got to give a shout out to coronavirus, because people were sitting around frustrated, like, we get to go out, we get to go and yell and scream. Let's do it. So you got to give some shots to the coronavirus thing that was going on too. So that's pretty much it.
Yeah. Again, special shout out to we love y'all at the protest, man. Like I said, that was a great thing we were all part of. I'm glad I got to film everybody and showcase it, because it really, and I'm glad because when these F words, I'm gonna curb my language so the algorithm doesn't come down on us. You know, those F words came out and started saying all these things about, look at these people out in the street laying down, there's no cops around, and they're blocking the street and disrupting traffic. I'm glad I got to film the parts where the cops were working with us and we were really showing how much of a community we really are. And that was a bold thing. Alyssa Kathleen says, let me be on the show next, bro. I thought I messaged you once to be on the show, because I wanted to talk to you about like sexual preferences and like different things. How can you say like being a furry is wrong and whatnot? I thought I wanted to talk to you about that at one point. But yeah, you can come on the show sometime. We can have you on as a guest. I'll send you a Calendly link for to be on the show if you want to have some conversation with us. But we got to get out of here. Again, we were like almost 10 minutes over, so.
Tell her don't come in timid. Tell her you get in here.
That's right. You gotta come in here. You gotta be ready to go. You know, but also at the same time, you gotta be able to laugh some off, or else, you know what I mean. Like, it might get crazy. But all right, guys, we were getting out of here. Again, fantastic show. Shout out to Isaac sharing the show. Shout out to Wolfgang Moon, Zach coming in the show, Big Sarge, Aaron Stifler. We love you, Aaron. Get that video out to you, and Alyssa. We are out of here. As always, stay beautiful. Take care of yourselves. Have a good one. See you.